Make no mistake about it. This is Wiffleballers in bars, having beers. The first one was in 1992, and the interesting fact on that tournament was, you remember at Baker Park how the foul line was a fire hose, and so it sat a good inch and a quarter above the ground level, and one of our players was running down the line trying to beat out a hit, turned his ankle and broke it. Ted Mandel. And so at that time, we only carried 4 guys. We didn't have a 5th. And so you let us fish somebody out of the crowd that wasn't on another team. And we fished out Brian Horvath, great athlete, local legend, of course. And I don't think we lost another game. And that was on Sunday when Ted broke his ankle. We didn't lose, and that was a great feeling to finally get a win.
Who did you guys beat in the final?
We beat. Well, Dud's game got knocked out early, and I want to say we beat Colt West.
I remember the Weasels beat Dud's game.
Like in the round of
8.
I thought
16
it was early.
even.
Yeah.
And the place just went nuts. I just remember running over to watch celebration on that.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably, I never thought about it from your perspective, but that was probably a little bit of a letdown that, you didn't get to go through them.
But yeah, we definitely wanted to play them, and we had beaten them before. We'd beaten them once in the '89 finals. Best of 3, we beat them game 1, and then ended up losing. But we never backed away from playing Dud's game.
Well, we're on Dud's game. Talk to me more about Dud's game. Overall impressions.
Well, they were a really, really difficult team to play against and to beat, because they could beat you so many ways. The Reed brothers could hit for average, hit for power, and Glenn Duddleson could hit for power, and then Beans pitching. He was one of the better pitchers in the league in the tournament, and so you knew you had your hands full when you were playing those guys. And they had an old cassette player. It might have been a CD player. I don't know.
Boom box.
Yeah, it was a boom box that they would pipe Big Ten schools fight songs. And whenever the Michigan song came on, they would almost stop play and just go nuts. And a lot of teams came unraveled when they just got on this roll with these fight songs, and before you know it, they beat you. They would just hand it to you. They would use their tournament history and the fact that they're defending champs. They would definitely use that to their advantage when it came to some umpiring. I don't remember them ever giving in. And to their credit, they were the defending champs.
I remember them giving. I remember what they would do would be they would. There'd be a close play. It wasn't really a close play that they would dispute. And then what they would do would they would say, "Well, we'll give you this one. We'll take the next one."
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I can totally see that. I don't remember that. I can totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But whenever in the early years, when we started playing in '87, in the early years, when we would get to the park Saturday morning, that'd be the first thing we checked. Are they in our bracket? When would we play them? And then if we advance to Sunday, when would we play them on Sunday?
Right.
They were the ones. They had a target on their back. They were, in my estimation, I think they're still the best team we ever played against.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole 2 generations of players who would say the Blue Ribbon Builders were, the team.
Which one?
But yeah, exactly. They had two iterations.
Yeah, but if you look back at the tournament history and tournaments entered and tournaments won, I mean, Dud's game only entered one.
I think they only lost one.
And that's 2. We won to stop their streak to 5.
Right.
Then they won the following year.
They lost 2. So they played in 8 and they won 6.
Blue Ribbon doesn't have that. I mean, Blue Ribbon's a great team.
Right.
And we had our battles with them too.
Right.
But no one has that winning percentage.
My only argument about that might be that I think by the early 2000s there were a lot more teams that could come up and get you.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I have for you that we'll get to. But yeah, you're probably right because there's only 24 teams maybe at the end of the 80s.
Yeah, 20.
Were there 20 teams?
Yeah. So there might have only been 5 or 6
that they had to worry
if they had
about.
any kind of chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were for us. They were always the toughest team to play. So that begs my question: Why was the tournament format best of 3? And we always feel like we kind of got ripped off of the championship.
I think we're just having
Thank you. We always felt we got ripped off of the championship because we lost in best of 3 and we won the first game. Our other championships were single elimination.
right. I think our my thing was let's play as much wiffle ball as we can possibly play. It's once a year. Let's and I was young and stupid and had a fair amount of stamina. Let's play as much wiffle ball as we could possibly cram into a weekend. I think that's all I can think of. And then I'd like to say that I realize now how crazy that was, but I think the real reason that it was changed was nobody was going to beat Dud's game best out of 3. And there were teams that could beat him, but nobody could beat him 2 out of 3.
And so really hard to beat him twice.
I think that was the motivation for changing that rule. Now I realize that rule needed to be changed because that was a ridiculous mammoth amount of wiffle ball for him. I mean, teams were playing 12 to 15 games that went, all the way. I mean,
that's a lot.
That's crazy,
Yeah, I remember later in the tournament you would play 4 round robin games, and then if you got a bye on Sunday, you'd have to play 4 games on Sunday. You play 8 games.
Yeah.
And you can sweep your 8, you're done, you win.
Yeah, so that's the way it is now. You got to win 7, 8, 9 games to win the whole thing. But back then it was 15. It's nuts.
Yeah, that makes for a long weekend.
Before the tournament, what was your experience with wiffle?
Oh, my parents had a backyard that was suitable to wiffle ball, and the neighborhood guys would come over and we'd play. And as a kid, we played quite a bit. But then once we started playing hardball a little more seriously when we were, teenagers, we really didn't play that much more wiffle ball. And Kenny calls me up and says, "Hey, you want to play in this tournament?" So I haven't picked up a wiffle ball bat in years. We used to play a lot, and so
you're like 22 at this point?
Yes, 22. Yeah, 22 years old, and I bet I hadn't swung a wiffle ball bat 7-8 years. Yeah. And so and we would only play. We'd come over to my parents' house even after I moved out on Friday night for batting practice. And so at the least I played 3 days a year. But there are times Kenny had some boys once he got married and what have you, and we'd play but not nothing competitive before we played in that tournament. And I know there were guys that were having batting practice months in advance and had their own little leagues and such. And we didn't do that. It's like Spartan in our early days. Meager means.
And that place had there were no trees to be found.
Baker Park? Yeah.
I mean, it was, you could die of sunstroke out there some of those years.
Yeah, and what else I remember fondly about Baker is the dirt was black as night.
It was the richest soil I've ever seen.
And you just, with the shirt you wore and the shorts you wore, they're done.
If there was any rain, it was all over you.
Yeah.
It was just mud.
Yeah, and I had gotten to be good friends with a couple guys that played football at Notre Dame, and one of them happened to be my shoe size. So he gave me a pair of cleats that he had worn, 3/4 high top Adidas with cleats like this big, and that's what I used to wear in the early days. And Mishawaka Parks Department wondered why the field was so torn up. Oh God! But yeah, there's the shirts. Like there's a picture on the website from the '98 championship team, and I'm in a tank top, and that's the only weekend in my life I wore that tank top. It just gets, the front was just soiled so badly.
Yeah.
And like Weber, he wore the same shirt from the first year we played to our last year we played. He wore the same one.
I wouldn't have fit in the same.
Well, Mike.
I went from a medium to an extra large over the life of the tournament.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, Mike must be blessed with good metabolism. He's still pretty skinny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I tell people now, because when we moved to Row, actually, I haven't talked a lot about this, but I was getting that thing at Baker was becoming such a beer bash, and there were fights.
Yeah.
And I was throwing teams out. I was getting worried, and it was starting to become. There were starting to be more families coming.
Yeah,
people would
watch.
Kids. So there was kind of a clash of the culture of this is a beer bash for guys in their 20s, and that was escalating, and at the same time there are families coming in, and they're starting to hear about it. So one of the things when we moved to Rose was, I'm like, I'm going to put the kibosh on this beer blast culture. It has to happen. So I don't know if you remember, but we hired cops to actually cruise around and look for beer. I tell people that now. I'm like, there were people we were just this close to having kegs out, you know.
For sure.
And I mean, nobody thought anything about it. I mean, there's a picture. I think that picture of you guys in '98, maybe it's '92.
We're all holding a beer.
You're holding beers, you know.
Yeah.
But we were all doing it. I was running the tournament and holding a beer the whole time. You know, so it's just kind of, it's almost funny to even think back that was actually happening. Part of it was Baker was kind of off the grid. The park department wasn't really monitoring it. It was sort of, the high school used it, but it was just kind of out there and nobody knew. You know, it was in an industrial park area, sort of. It just was, you know, kind of.
Have you driven by Baker recently?
I haven't. I drove by there after the high school redid it. Complex.
That complex is really nice now.
Yeah, I mean, I had a dream at one point of trying to contact the high school and saying, hey, I don't suppose you'd let us have one tournament out there, you know, and yeah, that's what Mike Schuster said. He goes, oh, Jim, there's no way in hell they're letting us out there.
No.
I mean, I had to really do a hard sell to let them get us to use roads because they had just redone those fields. You know?
Yeah, and if I remember,
they threw down mats.
Well, they threw down mats, but you also had to wear like basketball court shoes.
That's still a rule.
Yeah, you couldn't wear any cleats at all.
Right.
But on the beer issue, I mean, we took the tournament seriously. We wanted to win, so we didn't drink our first beer till we were done on Saturday.
That was late. Or was that all?
No, all the time.
Oh, okay.
All the time, and I mean, okay, maybe in the first couple of years. In round robin, when we knew we weren't advancing to Sunday, we might have popped a beer. I'm not going to say never,
right.
but by and large, once we were one of the teams that could potentially win it, once we figured that out, we didn't drink beer. It was not a beer fest to us, and there were certain teams that if they were in your round robin,
right.
you wanted to play them later in the day,
right?
Because you knew they were going to be hammered by then.
Yeah.
And that was very true.
So tell me memories of, other than Dud's gang and Blue Ribbon Builders, tell me about just some memories of other teams that sort of made an impression.
The team that really stood out to us was the Looney Wifflers. Those guys, they're a good bunch of guys and fun to compete against, and when the game was over, shake your hand, and they're good guys. We really like playing with them. Got a couple stories about games against those guys. One that comes to mind immediately is we played them in the Final Four in '98, and in the last inning, 2 outs. And there's a play at the plate. John Art tries to steal home plate. I'm pitching. I throw the ball. I'm trying to peg him. The ball sails on me a little bit, and Kenny Humphrey, our catcher, is right there, and he bats the ball down. And it's bang bang, as you can expect. And Kenny swears to this day that the ball hit John's foot before it crossed the plate. They thought John's foot got to home plate first. So instead of argument that we've had with other teams, and rightfully so, they want the call to go their way, they agreed to do a do-over. And so, okay, fine, do-over, reset. John goes back to third base. I throw a couple of pitches, and he tries stealing home again. And
that's gutsy.
Oh, it is. The wind's blowing in.
Yeah.
It's like
you got to get a run.
It's 1-1 game. It's 2-2 game. It's tied in the last inning, and they got to get a run. And so I don't know why, but I fake pitching the ball, and he takes off. So I just run at him and peg him out. Game, inning over, threat over. And then in the bottom inning, we hit a home run to win the game.
For those of you who don't know, balks are legal in this game.
Yes, they are. Balks are legal. Yes. So we hit a game-winning home run into the win, and we won either 2-1 or 3-2. So so Looney Wifflers, great team to play against. Another team was Mike's Meatheads.
Seymour, Indiana.
Southern Indiana. I remember they're from Southern Indiana. They were. I think if you had documentation, our winning percentage against them was pretty high. We can remember them beating us twice, and we were kind of like their nemesis. So we felt anyway.
Right.
And so the first time they beat us was in round robin play. And I don't know if you remember, but their family would all make the pilgrimage, and their family would sit in their cars and watch the game. And when they beat us, horns were honking, they were going nuts, and they beat us. And so, and we played them one other time in the Final Four, and in a downpour, and they beat us. And then they lost in the final to Blue Ribbon, and none of us can remember them ever playing again in the tournament.
Yeah, they just kind of fell off the face of the earth, and they were. I remember always being able to get a hold of them, and they were kind of a given that they were going to keep coming back.
Yeah. Let's see, what other teams? Club Ripped. I remember playing them when we didn't play them when they were first starting out, when they were kids, little kids. They were probably juniors or seniors in high school when we first started playing them, and by that time they'd started to get pretty good. And we played them. It seemed like yearly, and the last time that our team probably was a contender for the title was 2004, and we lost a 1-0 game to them. They only got one hit, and they beat us 1-0 in a round of 8, and they went on to win the tournament, their first title. So that's pretty cool. Oh man, there's a group of teams I wanted to ask you about. This is going to be a tangent of somewhat, but the teams from California, I think they're called like Chuds.
Yep.
They had like 2, 3, 4 teams that would enter. 3. Okay. And for years, we played one team once ever. We were never in their brackets, and I remember on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, one year I think one of their teams made it to Sunday, and they were just like, they couldn't believe it. And we always were like, where are the Chuds going tonight to have some beers? Because they were fun people to hang out with. I remember them leaving the park. They made a victory lap on Saturday afternoon. They were mooning the crowd.
Yeah, they would. They did that every year. They would, when the last team was eliminated, or the round robin was over, they would strip down naked, run around the park, do a lap around the park, jump in their van, moon everybody, and peel out, and you'd hear them say, sucker.